So when you got to LA, you've gotten to work with a lot of different bands, and over the years, eventually you got a call from to get to work with Kelly Osbourne. What was it like when you got found out that you got to work with Kelly Osbourne, and did you feel that opened some doors to your career at all?
Definitely open doors. Kelly is incredible. I'll start by saying that I'm still very good friends with Kelly Osbourne and Sharon. They're the best, two of the
Aw,
best people
cool.
that I know. Ozzy as well, but like I've always had a close relationship with Kelly and Sharon. Um, like I said, a lot of struggle in Los Angeles, so it was kind of like I went from homeless, kind of struggling, but I got a house at one point, right? Like lived with some roommates, and then it was five-star hotels and tour buses and everything with Kelly. So I was working in a restaurant at the time and got a call that Kelly Osbourne was looking for a drummer, and this was at like the height of the Osbournes reality show on MTV. So with that came the camera crew and like all that crazy stuff. So I auditioned for Kelly. Wasn't expecting to get the job just because I had never done anything at that level before, and I didn't know what to expect. But I went in, did the audition with Kelly's band, got a call pretty much immediately after I got home that day, and they're like, Kelly and Sharon want to meet with you. Um, so I went back, met with them, and the MTV crews were there, and it was, you know, from that point forth, it was like, here's your schedule for the next 5 months. And it was the Tonight Show and Ellen DeGeneres show, the Today Show, like basically every every talk show and everything in the US and the UK. We did a lot of touring like right away. And I was like, so I should quit my job then? They're like, yeah, you got to call your job.
So I actually did not get that job to her. I got that job from my friends. Um, One of my friends, actually two of my friends, had gotten contacted by Ogden with the studio to hire both of them because they had worked previously with them before in the past. One of them was an intern, and she was a background layout for them, and the other friend of mine, I think, had done freelance animation for a commercial of theirs that they had had under production. But at the time, both of my friends were busy. My friend, one of them was already in like a stable production scheduler job, so she was like, no. And then my other friend was already animating on a different production. So both of them actually replied back and gave them my name. And so then I got an email from the recruitment at Ogden Blake, and then I said, yeah, I am free. And then we had an interview over like Google Meet. They looked at my portfolio, and originally I think they were only going to test me for background layout, but they liked the guy who ran the company, Aaron Ogdenlick, he liked my portfolio, and so he ended up giving me two different tests. He liked my animation, so he gave me a test for animation layout or character layout, and then he gave me the test for background layout. I did both tests in a week. It was crazy, and then I handed them in, and then they hired me for character layout.
Her social life is DOA.
Why are you writing down license plate numbers?
So we can send apology notes.
But if a tear can bring her mom trophy back to life, anything is possible.
Yeah, so Teenage Euthanasia is a puppeted animation television show. It is made in Flash, Adobe Animate. So character layout basically does the job of laying out the characters according to the storyboard. So basically what I do is I set up the keys. I set up the models, like the animated puppets. Basically, I set up all the parts and all the keyframes, and then it's hand animated and tweened further by the actual animation team. So character layout is just the word that is used for what is essentially key animation. I set up the key animation based on the storyboards. And that's what I do. And then we also make new assets. So like anytime a character, because like Trophy, she had different outfits in every single episode. But there wasn't always like a full turnaround for her for every episode because we didn't have the time. Sometimes there would just be the front view for forward and, facing to the left 3/4. So, like many times, everyone on the character layout staff would have to create, like if Trophy was facing backwards, right, and we saw her back, she was in a new outfit, an episode, someone would have to draw that. Like they would have to make that torso and draw it. I think I drew dentures. I drew a lot of different assets for Trophy. I had to redraw her shoes. I had to redraw new feet, different perspectives of her clothes, her shirts, her arms, her dresses, her hair, her face. I made a lot of new assets. I think there was one scene where I think I legitimately had to redraw like all of her body for the assets, because how she was going to be animated based off the boards. I was like, we don't have a reference for any of these angles.
Started with UCW's academy with their trainer at the time, the Brooklyn Brawler.
Oh, all right, yeah. He used to be WWE Hall of Famer. I think he's in the Hall of Fame.
I think he's in the Hall of Fame. I'm not too sure yet.
Yeah.
Then our trainer switched over to Rohit Raju, former X Division champion.
Fucking love Rohit.
I do too.
He's great.
He's been amazing. He practically saved my career when it came to in-ring. Like Brawler, I learned quite a bit from. I won't lie. Like he taught me like presence in the ring. He taught me, you know, to be able to not just learn the moves. You need to have story behind it too. And then Rohit kind of just glued everything together. He hammered everything else home. And he taught me, he's another reason why I'm more character-based than I am actual wrestling-based. Because at first I wanted to just learn all the moves. And time went on, I was like, I don't need to do as much. And I can still do as much as the people who do a lot of moves.
So what was it like getting to participate in your first match? What were the emotions like when you finally got to make your debut?
Oh, Lord, where do I begin with that? So my first opponents were Nate Bach and Kyle Barrett. I loved working with those two. They were a little snug at first. I went home sore that night, but it was a lot of fun. I was nervous at first. When I found out what my match was, I was a nervous wreck. Going into this match, I was like, okay, I have a year experience in training. I said, I'm about to have my first match, and not only in front of my trainer, but in front of my family as well. I about cried before I went out, but then as soon as I went out there, it's like all the emotions went away. And I just haven't looked back since.
What was like your family's reaction when they finally got to see you wrestle and afterwards?
Nervous. They were nervous at first. Because, you know, just like every other parent, they don't want to see their kid get hurt. But afterwards, it was excitement. It was honor, I would want to say. It was almost, I got a bunch of, they were proud of me. They were excited to see what happens going forward, and now here they are. Come February 24th, they're going to see me wrestle again in Saginaw for UCW again.
Awesome. So where is wrestling taking you? Has it taken like in terms of locations? Have you been all around Michigan? Have you been outside of Michigan at all?
I have yet to be outside of Michigan, but I've been all over Michigan. I've gone up to Kalkaska. I've been all over the south parts of Michigan with Lansing, Detroit, Taylor, Grand Rapids, Battle Creek. It's taken me all over Michigan, and I love it so much.
As we highlighted over the past few months, the Mid-Michigan region is home to many talented people. From artists to musicians, this little part of the Mitten oozes talent. This has always been the case, like with Saginaw's Robert Armstrong, born November 20th, 1890 to Mina A. Lahman and William Noah Armstrong.
Noah. I got it! Hey, what's the matter with you? What do I pay you for? I get all the ideas around here.
Now what?
Got a new angle. Just thought of it. It's great. I'll take cowboys.
Cowboys? What for?
To lasso lions, of course.
Maxie, you can buy all the lions you want in California.
And I'm gonna send you stories from Africa. They'll fight to get them. All you gotta do is pass them out. Don't you understand? I'm gonna be in terrible danger in darkest Africa.
Robert Armstrong would spend most of his early childhood in Bay City and Saginaw. After high school, Armstrong studied law at the University of Washington in Seattle. Just before graduating, Armstrong would drop out of college to help with his uncle's vaudeville entertainment business. It's thanks to his time with the vaudeville company that after World War I, Armstrong would take a shot at Hollywood.
Why, you fish thing. You silly murderer!
In 1927, Armstrong made his film debut in the film The Main Event. This debut launched his prolific career, starring in a variety of films featuring his fast-paced, assertive on-screen personalities. His acting talents soon grabbed the attention of rising film director Merian C. Cooper. Cooper collaborated with Armstrong for many films early in their careers. These included the 1932 pre-code horror film The Most Dangerous Game and the iconic 1933 King Kong.
We're millionaires, boys. I'll share it with all of you. Why, in a few months it'll be up in lights on Broadway. Kong, the eighth wonder of the world.
Falls over itself with constant camera cuts, not just during the action, but also one-on-one dialogue moments. Overlapped camera cuts are constant filters and flashes that should insist of flashing warnings before the film. The visuals translate just as well as the story. The main antagonist, Ezekiel Sims, kills the protagonist's mother for a superpowered spider. The spider bites Webb's mom before she dies, thus giving Webb her clairvoyant abilities later in life. The spider plays no other part in the film. Sims kills a cop later on, and I honestly cannot tell you why. His main motive in the film is to kill 3 teenage girls because Sims has visions every night of the girls killing him in Spider-Man-like costumes. You would think with Webb's future power, she would converse with Sims about the future. Spoilers, she doesn't. Instead, Sims gets crushed by a Pepsi sign, which Pepsi has been foreshadowing throughout the film. No, really. Also, Uncle Ben is here. Well, here we are in 2024. The Crow finally has a new adaptation. Directed by Rupert Sanders, starring Bill Skarsgård, FKA Twigs, and Danny Houston. I remember hearing about this film in production since I was in high school. In 2014. 10 years ago. And it feels like it. The movie suffers from many problems, from its writing to its direction and characterization. Instead of being introduced to Eric and Shelley's relationship through flashbacks like in the 1994 film, we follow their love from the start. We meet Shelley, who is running away from an evil businessman, Rogue, who has demonic abilities. Rogue can make people bend to his will in exchange for sending innocent souls to hell. Shelley meets and falls for Eric, who is suffering through early childhood trauma of his own, and they share a brief life together before the inevitable by Rogue. An otherworldly guide with CGI crows tells Eric he'll be brought back to life to the land of the living to take revenge and save Shelley's soul from eternal damnation.
When someone dies, a crow carries their soul to the land of the dead. But sometimes something so bad happens that the soul cannot rest.
The movie is a slow build, and despite spending more time with the couple, we still know barely little about them. By the time Eric is brought back to life, he mostly just wanders the streets of Detroit getting beat up or shot by the people he's hunting. If there's a positive, Eric's immortal corpse reanimating is pretty cool. It's not up until about 75 minutes in when Eric becomes more of an action hero character, finally gaining an upper hand, realizing his powers, and donning the famous makeup.
Rings, friendships out the door. And you talked about it in 2022, Masha Slamovich was a ball of chaos. I would not say uncontrolled chaos, but she was a raging bull going into Bound for Glory that year. So it's trying to harness that and stay focused against the history maker.
The first of the advertised triple main events was the TNA Knockouts World Championship. In a rematch from 2002, Jordynne Grace defends her World Championship against Masha Slamovich.
Slamovich put Grace through a vicious match to become the new Women's World Champion, and despite the hard-hitting efforts, Grace and Slamovich give a friendly handshake and a hug before exiting the ring. The next event was the TNA World Championship match, where Nick Nemeth defended his title against Joe Hendry with special guest referee Frankie Kazarian. A lot of questions surrounded this match. Kazarian has been feuding with Hendry for weeks, and wrestling veteran John Layfield made a surprise appearance last month to assist Nemeth in defending his world title. When asked again about the possibility of Layfield aiding Nemeth again during the match, Hendry had this to say.
Do you think Nick Nemeth might have some secret leverage this coming Saturday in John Layfield?
That's certainly a concern too, but Nick doesn't need extra leverage or backup plans. He's one of the best to ever do it, and Nick knows that. I don't need to tell Nick that any more than I already have. He knows it. So all you have to do is look at his body of work. He doesn't need to resort to things like that.
John Layfield has had a vested interest in Nick Nemeth's matches.